a pussy.
Hey, move, bitch! Get out the way! Get out the way, bitch! Get out the way! Move, bitch!
The first flame quickly fades. Darkness will shortly settle. But one day, tiny flames will dance across the darkness.
I love Hulk Hogan's dick.
Tiny flames will dance across the darkness.
the homosexuals are evil people who are all passing around AIDS. Snort, snort!
I'm hypnotized.
Oh yeah. Sledgehammer.
Can someone please shut up this dude? He's being a moron.
Sledgehammer.
My laugh sounds like ack. So when I laugh, I go, or does that sound like ack?
I'm coming for you. Oh yeah. Zabba-da-zoo. The soothing sounds of Barry White during the zombie apocalypse.
Listen, man, you suck ass. We were winning, and now we're losing because you are a failure.
All right, let's bring that beat back.
Oh, no, you didn't, you motherfucking piece of shit cocksucker. Mark my fucking words. I'm coming for you. I'm gonna find out who the fuck you are. You motherfucker. You are fucked. Let this be noticed live on the internet. You're fucked. And you are done. Do you want to play the fucking game? Fun. The Ziggy Piggy is here. Good morning, everybody. Hello, how's everyone today? Welcome to the show. I'm Darkside Phil, and I welcome you here to episode 93. Yes, episode 93 of the pre-stream podcast. Excuse me. You may say, what? 93? That's damn right. I stream a lot. And every day that I stream, I do a pre-stream podcast. So, started this about 3.5, 4 months ago, right? As a daily thing. And yeah, I got 1 day a week off where I don't stream. So there's 1 day a week I don't have a pre-stream podcast. But that's 6 days a week, 6 episodes, right? It's a lot of podcasting. And I hope that you guys have been enjoying it. Since I instituted this show back in the fall as a way to have an introduction to all of my streaming content for a day, a lot of people have actually told me that this show has become a separate entity for them from my daily streaming. That they actually enjoy watching or listening to the pre-stream podcast as a separate deal from the actual gameplay content that I put out. And I like that. That is something that definitely makes me feel good because ultimately, in the long term, I'm not going to be able to be a full-time gamer for the rest of my life. Let's just be honest here. I'm about to be 40 years old in just a couple of weeks, guys. Yeah, my birthday's coming up, and I'm going to be the big 4-0. That means I'm over the hill, washed up, hair growing out of my ears, balls dangling down to my knees. And when you get that age, you got to realize, man, you're not no spring chicken anymore. And I could already tell you, I hate my job. I'm starting to feel a little bit of carpal tunnel in my hand. Sometimes I do get pain and numbness in my right arm. Likely from the years and years now that I've been playing video games nonstop. I mean, yes, I used to play Street Fighter a lot, but that was a different entity playing on a joystick like this versus actually just holding a gamepad all day. You know, it's inevitable. You're gonna get older. I mean, look at my face. Jesus, it looks like you know, you ever listen to that album? What was it? Stone Temple Pilots, was it Dead and Bloated or whatever in the 90s? I think they were describing me. Jeez. Anyway, the point I'm making here is eventually I'm going to have to diversify my content. I cannot be a full-time gamer forever. I'm certainly going to hold out as long as I can because I love gaming. Gaming is my passion, my hobby, and my job. And I want to keep doing it for as long as I can, but I understand that I will get older. And so, this podcast has been a way for me to do a different kind of content. Discussion content, you know, open forum analysis of topics but also having interaction with you guys, Q&A and the like on a daily basis. And it's very different from me just sitting here playing a video game, right? That's a good thing. And I certainly hope that you guys have enjoyed the fact that I have separated this and made it into something different, okay? Today, by the way, is Saturday the 19th of March, 2022, and we're almost at episode 100. Is there anything in store for episode 100? Not really. Since this is a daily show, it's not really a big deal to hit episode 100 when it's not even been like 6 months since I started it. Maybe episode 1000 would be more of a big celebration, you know, because that would likely be around a year of doing it, right? Maybe then. But for now, no, I am not looking to do anything special coming up in the next week. Don't expect it. Although, with my birthday right around the corner, there will be birthday week shenanigans. There'll be nice decorations around here, and there is the possibility I'll be doing something special for my birthday week, maybe a special event or marathon. I'm not settled on that yet, and I don't have the deets as of yet, but I should soon, okay? Anyway, welcome to the Pre-Stream Podcast. Much like yesterday's podcast, where I had a specific topic that I wanted to tackle, yes, we're doing that again today. I do know that sometimes the podcast is focused more on the business side of things or on Q&A with the viewers. Today, I actually have an interesting topic that I would like to tackle. Notably, Elden Ring and what's going on with the game right now. One of the things that has happened since the game was patched earlier this week that I guess I should be as honest and transparent as possible, really has disappointed me. Like, I am actually upset that something happened with this patch, and I want to talk about that at length on today's Pre-Stream Podcast. Now, just so you guys know, we're going to do the usual segment, that's the schedule, and at the end of the show, we're going to do shout-outs and interaction with you guys. But if you're not into Elden Ring, and you don't give two craps about Elden Ring, this is likely a podcast you want to skip. In addition, if you're currently playing Elden Ring, and you have not made it to the Caelid area of the game and or have not fought the third major boss
I need
of the
that
game,
money. I really do. I need
you
that
probably
money.
also want to skip this podcast unless you're okay with spoilers, because there actually is something you likely should know about the third major boss of the game that has incredibly pissed me off. Okay?
Stop this!
So, that's what we're going to be doing today, all right? If that sounds good to you, stick around. If not, sorry, you know, that is our topic for today. I'll see you tomorrow, right? So, make no bones about it. I know that I have a large group of viewers who either don't care about Elden Ring or are playing Elden Ring themselves and maybe don't want to hear about this part of the game or this boss fight in particular. Maybe they'll watch this podcast later after they've tackled it themselves. Well, you know, spoiler alert, that's literally what we're doing today. Okay? All right. But before we get to that, let's briefly cover the schedule and everything going on with that, and then we can get into the meat of today's discussion. All right? All right.
Lock and load, little lizard.
All right, so what are we doing today? Well, we got a nice podcast coming up, but then after that, it's Elden Ring. And since now we have passed the big hyped boss that everyone was asking me to fight for 3 weeks straight, spoiling the living shit out of the game for me, now we can move on and do other stuff. I am still in Caelid, and we still have stuff to do. There's still significant stuff to do. I can think of 2 dungeons off the top of my head to do, plus other stuff that we haven't investigated yet. We still got a ways to go. I'm likely thinking the rest of the weekend, today and tomorrow, likely will be spent finishing up Caelid, okay? So, that being said, it should be a good time. I hope you guys are ready for more fun in Caelid today. It certainly has been no walk in the park.
Soulmates.
At the same time, I have gained a significant amount of levels, abilities, and equipment since I've been in Caelid, so I've like doubled my capacity to fight anything, which is ridiculously good, because I was getting one-shotted by almost everything in Caelid when I had originally arrived. So that's good. Okay, so that's the first stream today. Later tonight, it is Skyrim After Dark, our late-night chill streams. That starts at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. 2 hours of fun exploration and chill in Skyrim. What will we be doing tonight? Honestly, I don't know. Every time I play, I keep forgetting what I did the stream before, which is kind of funny. Yeah, I was thinking to myself, what could we do tonight? Do we want to maybe do some of the Dark Brotherhood stuff? Because we didn't even start that quest line technically yet. We just did the introductory mission. I'm kind of holding
to do
off.
it. I don't have money to do it. I don't have money to do it. I
I'm
don't have
finishing
money
the
to
Thieves
do it. I
Guild,
don't have money to
because I
do it.
currently
I
have
don't have
skeleton
money to
key.
do it. I don't have money
Good.
to do
It
it.
means I don't have to actually pick a lock in the legit way and waste lock picks. And right now what I'm doing is I'm kind of accumulating a lot of lock picks, which is a good thing to do. Maybe, after a few more streams, then we'll finish the Thieves Guild when I have like
Now this
200
shocks
lock
me.
picks. All right. Well, we'll see. I don't know. We'll have a good time. It's always a good, chill, interactive, fun time when I play Skyrim, and I hope to see you tonight for that. Tomorrow, yes, it'll be more Elden Ring on the main gameplay stream as possibly we look to finish up Caelid. And then tomorrow night will be end game content of Horizon Forbidden West. So, I'm excited for that because we've been playing that game for a month now.
Go.
And even though
go.
it was a
Fatty,
game that
fat,
sadly
fuck,
did
fuck.
not really catch on with my audience, especially since Elden Ring came out, it dramatically dropped in
Shit.
any kind of prominence or interest. Personally, I've enjoyed the plot. Does the game have shortcomings? Yes. But the plot has been quite good, and I'm actually excited because we have a major plot point in the game, and I can't wait to play it more tomorrow night. I'll be off from streaming on Monday, all right? And when I come back on Tuesday, it'll be Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West. Wednesday will be Elden Ring and Skyrim. Thursday will be Elden Ring and Horizon. And hopefully, I'll beat Horizon Thursday night. I'm thinking if we do 6 hours of gameplay, in this next week, likely I will finish the story, and that'll be the end of the playthrough. Not that I'm in a rush, but at the very same time, we've got 2 impending new games coming out on Friday in Ghostwire Tokyo, as well as Kirby and the Forgotten Land. And once those get into
Can someone
the
please shut
rotation,
up this dude who's
how
being
many
a
games am I going
moron?
to juggle? I have to finish something up, okay? So a few things. Number 1, plan on Horizon to conclude this week. Number 2, expect that Skyrim will likely end up getting played a little bit less in the next few weeks, all right? And number 3, for those who definitely have been upset that I'm playing so much Elden Ring, there will be less Elden Ring in 1 week's time when I start balancing it with Ghostwire Tokyo. So there'll be a different game balanced with it. It won't just be Elden Ring every single day anymore. Okay? Now, I need to give you guys a forewarning. All right? This time of year is a time of year for small business owners to freak out.
Are you a
Because we have to
functional
do our
retard?
tax.
I have to ask.
That's right. Now, for a normal person who has a 9-to-5 job and doesn't own their own business, doing your taxes is pretty simple. You could probably just get some kind of free or cheap software, type in a bunch of numbers from your pay stub, and you're done. It's over with. Get your tax refund. When you own a small business, it's insanely complicated. You have to take care of every single little thing. You have to document anything you spent on the business, all of your different bills that are associated with the business every month, every little piece of income you make from any source must be accounted for in full. There are many, many things that you have to do. And admittedly this year, I've been so busy the past 2 months with gaming and the amount of streams that I've been doing and everything with all these new releases, I haven't taken any time to do it. Now it's crunch time. So in the last week of March, okay, likely that second half of the last week of March, I'm going to have to take a few night streams off from streaming in order to actually work on and do my taxes. So the reason I'm telling you this has nothing to do with the content of my streams. You're not going to hear me talking about my taxes or how they turned out or anything like that on the streams. It's no one's business. But there's going to be a couple night streams that are going to be skipped around the end of this month. And there's really no avoiding that. It just has to happen. I need to dedicate several hours in order to do my taxes properly. I got a big spreadsheet I have to fill out with all this data and everything. It's very complicated and time consuming. So, yeah. And by the way, as a result of my identity theft last year, okay, which completely screwed me over in many different ways, it's actually making my taxes even harder this year because I don't have an easy way to just look at all my data. I have to look at different sources and things. It's a real pain in the ass, and I'm dreading it. I really am. Like, it's giving me anxiety thinking about I have to do it. At the same time, I know I have to do it. So, it is what it is, okay? So just to forewarn everyone, yes, I will have to take some streams away, and I know it sucks. People are like, are you kidding me? This is one of the busiest gaming times we've seen in years. Constant, nonstop new releases. There's games you're not even playing because you don't have time to, and now you're taking time away from streaming. Yeah, I have to. Like, it's not my decision.
All right, so Game Horn is
has
awesome.
to be done. You know, it's a requirement by our government that I do these taxes, so I have to do it. All right. And I apologize for that you'll be missing out on a couple streams, but it is what it is. So, just forewarning everyone, okay? Outside of that, thank you all for the continued support. Thank you all for the continued engagement. You guys have been liking my streams. You guys have been liking my videos, leaving comments. In particular, yesterday, a little bit of a surge in comments on what happened not only in Elden Ring, but also the pre-stream podcast yesterday seemed to do really well. People are pretty engaged in it and in the discussion, although some people seem to miss the point. A quick follow-up to yesterday's pre-stream podcast. This will not be a lengthy segment. But yesterday,
from PayPal.
I discussed the discourse around Hogwarts Legacy, an upcoming game coming out in the holiday 2022 timeframe. That's going to be a game set in the universe of Harry Potter, notably the Hogwarts Academy, where these people are being taught how to use magic. But it's set in the 1800s, meaning there's no Harry Potter characters in it. This is like a prequel kind of deal. The game looks outstanding from what was shown in the State of Play broadcast, but because J.K. Rowling, the creator of Harry Potter, in the last decade has said many inflammatory and some people would say very uneducated and very hurtful, damaging comments about gender and trans people and gene therapy and things like that, people are basically publicly saying they're boycotting this game. They want nothing to do with it. They're going to pretend like it doesn't exist. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail about this. I fully explained my take on it and kind of explained why this is a ridiculous way to approach this game on yesterday's pre-stream podcast. Watch it in full if you like. It's a pretty interesting discussion. But one of the key points that people are not understanding here, all right, is that when you separate the art from the artist, all right, which you can do, you absolutely can separate the art from the artist. You don't have to like the artist to like the art that they put out, okay? That just because you personally don't like something that someone says or does, you personally feel that something they've done is harmful, okay, fair enough. You have the right to feel that way, right? Like I said yesterday on the podcast, I wasn't going to sit there and agree or disagree with anything J.K. Rowling said because I don't care. That wasn't the point of discussion, all right? But there are some people that get so overwhelmed and wrapped up with emotion, okay, that they literally feel like just because you disagree with someone, even if you feel what someone's done, it could be hurtful to a group of people. They said, Phil, that we contribute to you, but it always seems like it's a black hole. Ultimate failure, no matter how much we contribute, you're always still having problems. You're always still in debt. Experiences and nothing's getting better. Forever. I agree with you. All right? So, for example, with the whole J.K. Rowling fiasco here, again, if whether or not you believe it or what she said is right or wrong, if you don't like her, okay, does that literally mean that she should not have the right to make profit off of the Harry Potter universe? I want you to think about this for a second. She created the Harry Potter universe, okay? Wrote all those books. In some hand, had a hand in the making of the movies, not all of them as much, but you know what I'm saying? This is her creative work, all right? She created the universe. The Hogwarts Legacy game, she's not making at all. She has no hand in it whatsoever, but she created the universe, all right? Now, does that mean, because she said stuff that you don't agree with, that she shouldn't ever make profit off of Harry Potter ever again? Oh, she doesn't deserve it. What? The hell does that even have to do with anything? You disagree with her comments on gender. Okay. So now she has no right to make money ever again in her life.
What?
Huh? What are you talking about? You know, you can disagree with something that's a company or a person does,
I don't have money
but
to
not
do it.
have to outright wish them
I don't have money to do it. I don't have money to do it. I don't have money to do it. I don't have money to do it.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll give you an example. I'm making this up. I have no idea if this is ever is true or not. Man, I really like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is a delicious beverage that I've drank my whole life, and I really enjoy it. Oops, I heard that Coca-Cola donated some money to a political campaign that I disagree with. Does this mean now that, number one, Coca-Cola should never be able to sell Coca-Cola and make money on it ever again? And number two, does it mean that I should completely say I will never drink another Coca-Cola ever again? It's none of anyone's business. My opinion is no. My opinion is no. That's ridiculous. That's an over-the-top, absolutely ridiculous, and quite frankly, empty gesture. These boycotts of these companies and things, they're ridiculous. They are. It's like, are you out of your mind? Do you really think that because you stopped drinking Coke and because, you know, It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can disagree with the philosophy, you can disagree with the practice that company or person does. Those things that someone says, you disagree. That doesn't mean you have to wish the end of them. That is, like I was talking about yesterday, an absolutely ridiculously over-the-top emotional reaction that has no actual ties to logic. All right? I don't like you. Okay. I wish you dead. What? What are you talking about? You see the difference? There's a big difference. And sadly, I hate to say it, even on the internet in particular, there just isn't a way to really separate the two at this point. And like I said, everything's black and white. I don't like you, so I want everything bad to happen to you forever. No money, no success, every possible thing. Ha ha ha. I laugh at your misfortunes. What is that? That's kind of fucked up. That's not logical thinking. I'm so emotionally invested in this topic. Now I just want everything bad to happen to this person and I revel in their misery. That's fucked up to me. I will completely pretend like Hogwarts Legacy doesn't exist. I will not talk about it. I will not buy it. I will not do anything with it. Even though I love Harry Potter, fuck it. I don't like J.K. Rowling, so fuck that game. Like, what are you talking about? She didn't make it. Will she make $1 of profit off of it? Maybe. She probably got licensing rights, right? She licensed her Harry Potter content and her universe for the making of the game, and yeah, she'll make some money off of it.
Stop this!
So what? Does she not deserve to make $1 because she said dumb shit? I mean, what are you talking about? But this is what people miss, because again, they really get, sadly, they get into this whole mentality of it's my way or the highway. Agree with me, or if you're not with me, you're against me. That's the best way to say it. If you're not of my like mindset, you're obviously my hated villain, and I should want the worst for you forever. And that is so dumb, so immature. And people were actually leaving comments on the video, the podcast yesterday, saying, "Oh, you just don't get it. Don't you understand that she makes profit on Hogwarts Legacy?" Well, yeah, she created a universe. Why shouldn't she? Do you think when Michael Jackson was alive, he was making no money on any of his music just because he had accusations against him? What are you talking about? They're not even related. But people can't separate. Again,
why are you an idiot
if you don't agree? If you don't agree, my ally or you're a complete villain.
When you have factual evidence of something,
understand and separated
thrown in front of your
you know
face
what I'm
and
saying?
you ignore it and choose to
So
believe
anyway,
something else,
that's a
you're an
little
idiot.
follow-up to yesterday. That's kind of what I was trying to get at yesterday, but maybe it didn't necessarily come out in the podcast in that manner, and I just wanted to clarify things there, okay? Okay. Excuse me. Now, here we go. Here come the people who want to call me a hypocrite. Brinker O says, isn't that your same opinion of Project L due to the Cannon Brothers? No.
Okay.
The Cannon Brothers systematically did corrupt things
right.
over the years, mistreated people in every project they've ever been involved in, literally lied to the public over and over and over the years. I don't care what they're involved in. I have grounds to never trust them again because they have a history of being fucked up. You see what I'm saying? I don't believe that this game that they're working on will be very good. Maybe they'll pretend like it is or whatever. I guarantee you it will be deceitful and whatever, because that's how they've always been their entire lives. That's why I'm not interested in this Project L that they're working on. When I've been to tournament after tournament that was screwed up, messed up, corrupted, people got favoritism, people were mistreated, I don't care for their future products because I know it's going to be the same. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the game will come out and be one of the best fighting games ever, and then maybe I'll eat my words and I'll be forced to kind of go back on everything I'm saying now. But for me, at least, the track record is there for me to make an educated decision on what I want to involve myself in. And in this case, it doesn't make any sense. Like, J.K. Rowling's comments have nothing to do with Harry Potter. The history of the Cannon Brothers involved with Evo and Street Fighter directly ties into a fighting game that they're making. It's the same product. It's the same thing. It's directly related. Completely different situation. The difference here would be like if they were now making, I don't know, a movie that had nothing to do with Street Fighter, right? I don't know how they are as filmmakers. I don't know what that would have to do with anything. So with that, I would be like pretty hypocritical saying, well, back in the day, they ran tournaments horribly and rigged stuff, but now they're making a movie, so I'm not going to watch it. Well, what does that have to do with anything? The tournament and the movie are not related. You see what I'm saying? It's a very different comparison. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now get to our topic at hand today. All right. So, spoiler alert for those of you who are either possibly playing Elden Ring and haven't gotten to Caelid and the third major boss fight of the game yet, or For those of you who maybe just don't care about Elden Ring, or maybe you're going to play it at a future date, you don't want to be spoiled, all right? I am about to discuss the third major region of the game and the third major boss fight and something that's happened to it this week with the patch that a lot of people are now up in arms about. At the same time, if you are playing the game, you might want to actually listen to this podcast, despite the fact that you're probably going to get spoiled on the boss. Why? Because you might want to know what happened and that what you're getting in the game is not representative of the original experience. Okay? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been playing Elden Ring since its launch. As you know, I'm not an exclusive Soulsborne streamer. And if all I was playing was Elden Ring without any variety whatsoever, likely people would get bored. Because I am a content creator who plays a variety of games and a variety of content, and I've always been known for that. I've never been, oh, Phil, the guy who plays Street Fighter, oh, Phil, the guy who plays Call of Duty, or Phil, the guy who flubs through FromSoft games and everyone laughs at. I'm kind of a jack of all trades and a master of none, all right? There are plenty of people who sat down and played the shit out of Elden Ring and beat it within like a full week of its release. They just played through it nonstop, and now they're in their second or third runs. Most pro players who do this for a living are already doing level 1 challenge runs, certain build challenge runs, and things like that, okay? But for me, I have now been playing this game for 54 hours. Okay? 54 hours. And from what I'm to understand, I'm roughly halfway through the game. Roughly. Because I think really the halfway point would be when I complete Caelid entirely and then start heading into the new areas of the game that apparently are even more challenging. That would be considered the second half. So we're almost there at 55 hours, all right? So the reason that I'm prefacing this part of the podcast with that knowledge is because I want you to understand it wasn't like I was beating around the bush. It wasn't like I was purposely trying to avoid a particular boss fight in the game. I was taking my time and exploring and doing things in the logical progression order that the game presents to you. That's how much content this game has. It's about, if you're exploring, it's about anywhere from 100 to 120 hours of content in the game, which is, I know, absolutely fucking insane, but it is what's in the game, okay? So, this week, I was exploring Caelid, which in the logical progression of things is considered the third major area of the game. You start off in an area called Limgrave, and this has a lot of introductory stuff, some simple dungeons, you know, gameplay elements like introduced, etc. So when I laugh, then you go to the second area after you beat the first major dungeon, which is Stormvale Castle. Does that sound like You head into Liurnia, which is a giant lake/swamp-like area. Again, lots of exploration. There's both a main and optional dungeon there, plus a bunch of other optional stuff. Lots of new mechanics introduced. And it's very fun, to be honest. I like it. Then you're expected to go to Caelid, and Caelid is very different. Caelid is an area where everything looks corrupted and gross. Some of the enemies are quite unique and interesting. You haven't encountered anything like that in the game before. Money, I really do.
Very
I need that money. Very difficult. Even a normal enemy in Caelid, a little soldier, be walking up to you with a torch. He goes, "Hey, how you doing?" Where's the torch? Ooh, fire breather, and he goes combo. Can someone please shut up this dude? Fuck, it's a normal dude. That's Caelid. Okay, that's what they were going for. They were going for basically corrupted insanity in this place. Okay, so I've been dealing with Caelid this week. All right, basically the way it's been is each week has been a new area. Week 1 was Limgrave, week 2 was Liurnia, and all this week 3 gameplay for me has been Caelid. Dick. Okay, so it's been a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it, although some things in Caelid are way over leveled for me and whoop my ass to the point where like 2-hit killing me.
Tevin's
how am I supposed to kill a boss that 2-hit kills me? Right? Pretty ridiculous. I've been exploring a lot. And the entire time that I've been there, people have been spoiling the game. I don't have money to do it. I don't have money to do it. You gotta fight the boss. I don't have money to do it. 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 The boss, fight the boss. It was at one point such a big running joke. I was like, geez, why are you guys talking about the boss in this area so much? Is he some studly man? Is he like the Brad Pitt or John Stamos or you know what I mean? Like some big studly guy. Oh no! Who everyone was like, wow, I'm amazed by his strength and handsomeness and his Dudley Do-Right manner. He has a square jaw and he really is a tough guy, and that's why everyone wants me to face him.
Motherfucker on the internet.
Actually, no.
Hound, whatever the fuck this idiot's
I would not say that this is the equivalent of that. The name of this boss is Star Scourge Radahn. He is the third major story boss in the game, meaning he's the third major boss of Elden Ring, where when you beat him, you get one that's considered one of the big souls, the big runes, the big whatever the fuck they're called in this game. And supposed to be like the end game of this area of the game. Once you beat him, you should be free to move on to the fourth or further areas of the game. Okay? Now, I should be clear here, the way Elden Ring is set up, you can play it in many different orders, and you can actually do things completely out of sequence. You could have fought him earlier in the game if you wanted to, and you could actually fight him way later. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, some people were talking about him so much on my streams and saying things to the effect like, oh, I couldn't beat him. I had to leave the area and come back when I would grind it to like level 85, and then I was able to beat him. So people were hyping this guy up as essentially one of the hardest Soulsborne bosses in all time. Some people were actually saying Radahn was harder than the final boss of the game for them. Okay, for them. Maybe not factually on paper, but for them, he was tougher. Okay? So, thing is, I didn't really know much about the boss because I wasn't spoiling myself on this game. I didn't want to be spoiled. But I noticed about a week to a week and a half ago, people all over social media were talking about this boss as well. Radahn. And everyone seemed to have a common thread. He's fucking hard as hell, and most people hit a wall playing Elden Ring. Now, what you got to understand about Elden Ring is it's a unique situation, okay? It is an absolutely unique situation. More people than ever before have bought this game, and this game has gone mainstream. What that means is, unlike previous Soulsborne games where, yeah, they got mainstream coverage, and some people said they were Game of the Year, in general, the sales were good, but nowhere near the kind of sales that you would expect for a game like this. I mean, this game monstrously has oversold and outsold previous Soulsborne games. To give you some perspective, it took Dark Souls 3 4 years to sell as many copies as Elden Ring sold in 2 weeks. And so, when you have a dramatically increased number of people playing
here we
your
go.
game
Now he's talking about WWE champions, so he's a piece of shit.
When you have
You
a
piece of donkey
dramatically
shit.
less
this?
educated group of people
How
who
about
don't
this?
have experience in
WWE
this game
champions.
franchise and don't
Alright?
understand the ins and outs of how it really
WWE
works and are
champions
basically
lives
trying to learn it for
rent-free
the
in
first
your
time,
motherfucking
what's
head.
going to end up happening
I don't think about
is
WWE champions.
you're going to
You
end
do.
up
You
having
probably
some
know
major
way more about
problems
the fucking game than I ever will, because you're
when
an idiot.
people get to
You're an
something tough.
obsessed loser.
Incidentally, the first real major boss of the game's name is Godric the Grafted. All right? In my personal experience with this boss, he's easy. Did he kill me a few times? Of course he did. And I was actually frustrated because I found some of the shortcomings of the game, like him throwing a projectile forward and it going backwards over his shoulder and hitting me in the face, which makes no fucking logical sense. But I digress. The boss was pretty easy. I beat him within a few shots, and it was like, okay, no big deal. But people on the internet were like, oh my god, Godric the Grafted is the first major hurdle of the game, and we can't beat him. And people were posting up these big victory posts. I beat Godric. I finally beat him. Finally.
Fatty fat fuck.
Give me like 10 minutes. You know? Now, I've played all the Soulsborne games. I've got that education. I've got that experience. I kind of understand it. They didn't get it because they're newcomers to the game. You understand? So for them, the boss before him, who's kind of a skill check, Birgit, and then Godric, these are like giant challenges to these people. All right? Millions of people. This isn't like a couple thousand. Millions of people are experiencing this kind of challenge and difficulty for the first time. All right? So, as the game now moves on, what you got to understand is these are the millions and millions of people playing the game. We're now 2 weeks into the game. What's the next challenge? What's the next skill check? You see? And so the next major thing I saw everyone start talking about was this guy. All right? To give you some lore about him, Radahn, or Star Scourge Radahn, is supposed to be a major general in the lore of Elden Ring. At one point, he had a big war against another character called Marika. And during this war, it was such a long, drawn-out thing, it destroyed Caelid. Like, the war actually got his entire land infected with what's called scarlet rot. It's this disgusting fungus that basically takes over everything and corrupts your body and turns you into, like, poison, but also, like, corruption, like deformities and stuff. It's really weird when you start fighting dino dogs and giant mutated crows. You realize something's up in this land. Well, Radahn, okay. Radahn, it's people are saying millennia. Did I say America? Millennia? Whoever. I don't care who the character is. Radahn essentially got infected with this scarlet rot. Okay? So at first you think, wow, he's the ultimate badass, but then when they actually play his intro scene, and you see him crawling on his hands and knees with a horse fused to his crotch, I'm not making that up, he has a small horse fused into his private region that he permanently rides. He never demounts the horse, he's fused to its butt. Okay, I'm not exaggerating. And he is so infected with scarlet rot that eventually he's basically turned into like a monster. He's going through this desert, eating the bodies of his soldiers that died in the battle with Millennia. Okay? Oh, okay. Not exactly Brad Pitt, John Stamos material like I was expecting. A little different. Okay? So anyway, he's a weird fuck. Okay? And the way that the game builds up to this boss fight is that you hear lore about him, rumors about him, NPCs talk about him, and then eventually what happens in the game is there's something called the Radahn Festival that gets triggered. Now, there's multiple ways to do this. From what I'm to understand, and this is just from my fans telling me because I'm not 100% in on this, so take this with a grain of salt. There's a certain optional dungeon you can go to in Liurnia. I think it's called the Kyra Manor or whatever it was. It was the Magic Manor. That's an optional dungeon. Apparently, when you go there, then the festival triggers. Or if you get to the next area of the game past, it's supposed to be past Caelid, that's called something Plateau or something like that. Apparently, if you go there, then it triggers. Okay, so it's basically there's multiple ways to get this to happen. What is the Radahn Festival? Well, it's actually something completely unique that I have never actually experienced before in a FromSoft game, okay? Basically, when you fight Radahn, it's not supposed to be a fair one-on-one fight at all, all right? Radahn is expected to be this over-the-top challenge. He's so tough. The only way you should realistically take him on is with a group of people, not just yourself. Now, at first you may say, oh, does that mean you summon your friends and you all beat them up? No. Actually, the story sets it up in an interesting way. Over the course of Elden Ring, you're going to befriend certain NPCs. Whether or not it's because you accidentally stumble upon them or you intentionally follow their plot line. I need that money. If you exhaust certain characters' stories up to a certain point, they're now considered your allies. And in FromSoft games, typically you can summon your allies
alive and well in Israel.
Boss fights. Well, the Radahn Festival, at this point in the game, is supposed to be, okay, all the good things you've done for people up to now pan out, because those people you helped are going to help you.
Can someone please shut up this dude who's being a moron?
You arrive at Redmane Castle, which, if you hadn't triggered the festival, is basically a dungeon, all right? But if you've triggered the festival, all of a sudden all these teleporters are enabled, and you can just teleport right to the end of the dungeon. And when you do, all of your allies who you've befriended in the game are standing there. Now, I hadn't befriended too many. For what I'm to understand, you could have actually had a lot of people here, but all I had was one guy was named Blade, the half-wolfman hunter, and then I also had Iron Fist Alexander, the giant living pot. So these were the two guys who I had helped out with their quest lines, and they were there. They had dialogue, too. They had unique dialogue talking to me about this fight we're about to do together. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I've never seen anything like this in a FromSoft game before. Typically, if it is part of it, it's not like a big story buildup. It's just like, just go fight that boss, and oh, by the way, there might be summon. In this case, there's like really building to this epic thing that's about to happen. Okay? Now I'm being told it's Blythe.
All right, so Gabe Horn is awesome.
Whatever. His name's Blythe the Wolfman. Sure he is. Anyway, you never hear anyone say his name. Anyway, so after a bunch of build-up, talking to all of your allies who are in this courtyard, there's actually a master of ceremonies, and he's like, oh, come one, come all, the big festival of Radahn and combat, and yada, yada, yada. You know, it makes it feel like you're hyping up this crazy epic moment in a movie or something, okay? And then finally you go through a boss door, you go down an elevator, and you get teleported to the battlefield, which is a ginormous desert. It may arguably be the biggest battlefield ever in a FromSoft game. Don't quote me on that, but I think it actually may be. Okay? And so, as soon as you arrive, you realize you're in deep shit because this guy is not happy with you. And from a distance starts shooting giant homing arrows. Okay? Now, oh shit. I gotta start dodging, right? You got to. You have to start dodging. If you don't immediately get ready to come with arrows, you'll die with a shots. Now, on the battlefield, what you'll actually see, alright, all around your area is that there's summon symbols all over the ground. So immediately, this is like, ooh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So you start summoning them, and all these story-based NPCs start showing up. Some of them you probably never heard of, and then some of them actually are the characters who you've befriended. Like I said, Blyde, the Half-Wolf, and Iron Fist Alexander, and some of those I was able to summon. So, the goal of the fight is essentially to have these little guys you're summoning distract Radahn, so that you can fight him head up, and maybe do some one tactics. You can get in there, hit a few times, get out as he aggroes to you, okay? And basically, there's two phases of the fight. First, he's more of a head-up melee kind of guy, but then in the second half of the fight, he starts using these crazy magic spells, alright? He didn't die. Sadly, I can only tell you what my personal experience is with the boss. Now, keep in mind, I had been playing this game for 3 weeks, and like I said, the entirety of the last week to week and a half that I've been playing it, everyone on my streams is like, oh my god, Radahn, I can't wait till Phil gets to Radahn and fights Radahn. He's so challenging, he's so ridiculous, it's an epic fight, but my god, it's some of the hardest. Some people were telling me, actual people who are good at From Software, it took 5 hours to beat Radahn. And like I said, some people actually said, man, I had to grind to level 85 to go back and fight Radahn. Even though his area arguably should be anywhere from level 50 to 70, I had to grind way above that level to actually defeat the boss. Okay? So I'm going into this expecting something crazy and epic. And I'll admit, it looks epic. You're fighting this guy. He's sniping you from a million miles away. You got to dodge, 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 summon everyone off the sand. Now they're distracting him. Then you go up there, you start beating him up. And then I started to notice something. All right? I'm fighting him. I'm like, not really hitting me. He's very distracted on all these NPCs. And I'm hitting him for big chunks of damage. It's not like my hits are ineffective. They're doing chunk, 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 chunk. Every time I hit him, his energy bar is going, wow, this is pretty damaging what I'm doing to him. And then he would hit me randomly. Half the time it wouldn't look like he was going for me. And I would lose about 25% of my health bar. And I'm thinking, huh? Now keep in mind, I've been exploring Caelid for almost a week. I've been fighting every optional boss that I've come across. I just, the day before, fought a trio of Crystallian bosses that whoever thought this was a good idea is one of these sadistic assholes. 3 enemies that have armor on their bodies, and you have to strike them anywhere from 3 to 5 times for the armor to break so that you can eventually start hitting them, staggering them, and actually doing real damage. But they're all different types. One's a mage, one's a spear user, and one has these rings, and they just lock you down. I want to hit this one. Too bad, you're getting poked in the ass. I'll fight the spear user. Too bad, magic up the ass. Oh, by the way, they all inflict you with Scarlet Rot, so if you only take a couple hits, now your energy is declining rapidly unless you have a way to heal it. It's just like, wow, 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 wow. They really went crazy on this shit. You know, they really did. So I'm fighting Radahn, and I'm like, something's off, right? This is the boss fight that everyone's been hyping up for a week and a half, 2 weeks. I saw on social media people going crazy, ripping their hair out of their head that it was so tough. Easily. And I'm beating his ass. So then we get to the second half of the fight. He starts using magic, and the magic's coming at me, and I'm just like, walk to the side, easily dodge it. I think in the entirety of the boss fight, all right, I think he maybe hit me 2 to 3 times. I easily just chugged the flask and just, I steamrolled him. Easy one shot. Arguably one of the easiest bosses in the game for me, you know? And you might say, well, that's because you use summons. Well, no, you see, that was the point. The whole epic part of the game is that it's the festival of Radahn. Everyone you've befriended is helping you. This is supposed to be the story of the game. If you don't summon, you're literally playing the game in an alternate way to make it different than what was intended. This fight was designed around the fact that he can snipe you unless you distract him with the summons. So you're supposed to distract him to get in there and fight him. That's the point. Even people were saying, normally, Phil, we'd be upset if you summon, but in this case, the game was designed around it. Do it, or else you're not actually getting the boss fight experience that was intended.
Look at them.
All right?
Look at them.
So,
Come on.
you know, I beat
That's
him,
kidding.
and everyone's like, holy shit, yeah, that's terrible. And I just hate to say it, but they fucked it up. How did they fuck it up? Because, ladies and gentlemen, earlier this week, From Software issued a patch to Elden Ring. And this patch changed a lot of stuff around the game. Most notably, one of the biggest complaints from everyone playing this game is that there's a hell of a lot of NPCs in it, and a lot of them have quests, and they move around the map, all right? And there's no way to really tell where any of them are at any time when they move. You may have an NPC standing in front of you in a building for, you know, the first 20 hours you play, then they disappear. Well, where did they go? I don't know. Will I ever encounter them again? Maybe, maybe not. Well, now what'll happen is if you've encountered an NPC and they move across the map as part of their quest line, now the map will have their location and their name next to it so you know where they are. Now, oh, I could follow up on this quest by going here and talking to this NPC that moved. Cool, I'll do that. So that's a good thing, obviously. But it's very odd that they added so much to the game in Elden Ring that wasn't previously in FromSoft games, all these new NPCs, and they didn't implement this at launch. It's kind of weird, all right? So they listened to fan feedback. In addition, they rebalanced the game. There was one of these weapon arts, or what was it called? Ash arts, Arts of War, whatever, called Hoarfrost Stomp that apparently was incredibly overpowered, and people were literally using this to just speedrun the game because it was so broken. So they patched it and fixed it and made it not as overpowered. Other things, too, they buffed some spells, they nerfed some spells, they did all this tweaking. Personally, I found a change. There's an area called the Beast Sanctuary, where there's an NPC that you trade in an item called Death Root to get some items and stuff over the course of the game, some rewards for it. Well, supposedly you were able to drop behind the sanctuary and find a hidden area with all these items and all kinds of stuff. You can't do it anymore. They patched it out. If you try to jump down there, you die instantly despite the fact you don't even fall. It's just like there's an invisible death wall that kills you along the way. And all my followers and viewers were like, no, do it, no, do it. I tried to do it. I kept dying. I'm like, well, what gives? Like, shit, they changed it. They must have changed it with the patch.
From Software.
So there's a lot of changes
Fuck
that happened.
you.
And one of the notable changes that, sadly, they did is they nerfed Radahn. Radahn, who's supposed to be this epic skill check, this epic moment in FromSoft history, a build-up, a festival, get the aid of all the people you've befriended and helped in the course of the game up to now. That was the point, is that the more quests you complete, the more people you have to help you in this fight so that you can beat this insurmountable challenge. And when you beat Radahn, not only are you supposed to feel like this is a major milestone in the game, but also in FromSoft history, and you're rewarded appropriately with some ridiculous amount of runes. I think it's like 70-something or 80-something thousand runes, which is a crazy amount for the game up to this point. So, basically, when they nerfed this boss, here's what they did. Number one, at the beginning of the fight, when he's sniping you with the arrows, originally, apparently, these arrows were almost impossible to dodge. The point you were supposed to do here was you were supposed to just basically go behind the dunes and summon everyone. Because once everyone's summoned and running towards Radahn, now you start shooting at them instead of you, and now you have an opportunity to get closer to him. But if you didn't do it, you couldn't even get to him. Like, if you're on the horse, he would just kill your horse right away. Like, zoop, done. Oh, well, can't use the horse in this fight. In addition, when you were supposed to get close to him, yes, he aggroes to all of them, but he would eventually turn his attention towards you, and apparently he could either stun lock you or either 1 to 2 shot you very easily. In addition, in the second half of the fight, okay, and again, this is all just me speculating, all right, because you suck shit. I didn't fight the original Radahn. I didn't have opportunity to. They patched him out. Zip your lips, permanently. You put a zipper on your lips. And now, apparently, in the second half of the fight, better off your content. When Radahn starts using magic, this is really when it was like sucking on a turd, because he apparently had magic that tracked you. And most people were saying as soon as he cast that spell with the big purple balls and then he starts coming out, you're fucked. Like, you have to find a way to survive and heal it. You know, people were like, damn, there's really like no real easy, legitimate way to avoid it. You get hit. And he could one-shot you with it. So there were people who literally were playing this for 5 hours and would get to the second half and couldn't beat the guy and were so frustrated at it. Yeah. So now imagine this nearly insurmountable challenge, so difficult that for the first time ever, it's almost kind of necessary for you to do summons in the game, in a FromSoft game. and this epic buildup of a festival, and it's supposed to be the biggest, skill check and challenge for FromSoft up to this point. And then you get to it, and it's literally one of the biggest pushover bosses you've seen yet. In fact, I would say definitely at this point.
Thanks for the money, you stupid fuck.
In the entire game. Or something like that. They were so low at health. They only took like 3 to 4 hits each to kill, and they barely did anything effective. So they were like insanely easy mode to beat. And then maybe I'd say some of the introductory bosses, like the Watchdog boss, is super easy once you know the pattern. Piss easy. So when they patched Radahn, all right, here's essentially what FromSoft did. They took an ultimate badass character like Shere Khan, the deadly tiger of the jungle that every creature fears and knows that if you mess with this guy, you're going to get fucked up. And they declawed him. They made it so it's like every time you run into him, he's like swatting around a ball of yarn. Right?
Tiger,
Ominous looking, deadly looking. Everything build up to him is great. And the next thing you know, he's like, meow, 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 meow. Wow. They took King Kong and they turned him into fucking Donkey Kong. Meow. Instead of a ginormously oversized ape destroying a major city and causing a muck, it's a stupid gorilla throwing barrels around, tripping on banana peels, and spending most of his time getting beat up by anthropomorphic lizards. You want to talk about anticlimactic? I mean, I'm not exaggerating, all right? When I tell you that the Radahn boss fight for me probably ranks in the top 5 most disappointing anticlimactic things I have ever experienced in gaming in my life. I had so much buildup, people telling me about him for weeks, and saying that he was going to be such an insane challenge skill check, and people, to this day, I'm not even kidding you, people didn't know he was patched, and people were watching my videos from the day before, leaving comments, wait till he gets to Radahn, he's just going to, that's it, that's the end of it. He's steamrolling earlier stuff, but wham, well, wait till he gets to Radahn.
Thanks for the money, stupid fuck.
Damn.
30 minutes of pointless rambling just to kill time out.
This is very disappointing. I paid the same amount of money as everybody else when I got Elden Ring. I expect that I'm going to get an equivalent experience with the people who bought the game and played it. This is disappointing to me that because I didn't rush through it. I took my time, I explored every area, and I only play it 3 hours a day, with the exception of the first 3 days that I played it. I actually played it both streams. So essentially those were 5 to 6 hours a day. You know what I mean? But 60 hours in 3 weeks is a pretty good amount of gameplay. 20 hours a week is a lot to play a video game. And to tell me that I basically stalled or took too long to get to your boss is fucking bullshit. I shouldn't have a different experience than everyone else does playing your game. And I know it sounds weird that me, Phil Burnell, Darkside Phil, in 2022, is complaining that a game is too easy. That's very odd, isn't it? Because normally you hear me rage about difficulty or whatever. And by the way, I have absolutely raged about this game in many different places. Okay? But I'm looking at this and I'm like, how is it fair that there is actually legitimately no way for me to ever experience the real original Radahn boss? Because they patched him and made him essentially a pussycat. Okay? First of all, you may say, well, how did this happen? What a disaster. Why would From Software have done such a thing? And there literally is only one answer to that question.
Shut up this dude who's being a moron.
The game sold 12 million copies. All right? Previous FromSoft games had good sales records, but as I just previously stated, it took 4 years for Dark Souls 3 to sell as much as Elden Ring did in 2 weeks. This is by far
looks like someone had too much chili at Wendy's.
Biggest
Ziggy Piggy's back.
selling game of all time. This is going to go down in history as the game that brought FromSoft out of the shadows from a fringe group of get good style gamers and into the mainstream. Okay? And quite frankly, this might change everything, and I hate to say it, success is a double-edged sword. How many times in history have we seen a franchise or a piece of anything, right, that was one way, and then when it became mainstream popular, completely changed for the worse? All right, I'm going to give you a direct, distinct example. Street Fighter as a competitive game with Street Fighter 4. And I forgot to put a Street Fighter 4 picture into the stuff, so I apologize. I can't put Street Fighter 4 on the screen right now. But Street Fighter 4 was when Street Fighter became mainstream. All right? Previously, every numbered Street Fighter iteration game had very challenging controls, where to the point where you had to basically practice a ton in order to execute some of the special moves and or combos necessary in order to perform at a high competitive level. Street Fighter 4 was a reinvigoration for the series, bringing it from the 2D into the 3D era, and actually for the first time in almost a decade introduced this game back to the public at large, and it blew
It's been pretty
up.
slow,
It
not
became
gonna lie.
insanely popular. Street Fighter 4 sold way more than the previous iterations of Street Fighter ever had, and it created a whole
So if you're gonna be an
competitive
asshole,
community.
you're gonna be treated
Sponsorships
like an
and
asshole. You're gonna be
partnerships,
shown the
gaming
door.
teams were formed. All this stuff that had never happened before now is possible with the popularity of Street Fighter 4. But Street Fighter 4 also completely dumbed
Are you gonna
down
just
the
complain all
gameplay
night?
of
Just
the
leave
game.
then.
I already kind of previously explained this recently, but I'll explain it
You're
again
gonna be
for those
banned.
who don't really understand. In Street Fighter, there are special moves that need to be performed by doing a certain combination of directions on your D-pad or
Can someone
little
please shut
joystick.
up this dude
Plus
who's
button.
being a moron?
All right? One of the moves that was always one of the more challenging to do was called the Dragon Punch or Shoryuken. You would have to tap forward. I'm blocking the camera. Boy, that's really tough. You'd have to tap forward, then down forward with your finger like this, and then press the punch button. Your character will perform a special move called the Dragon Punch. That's incredibly good. You get invincibility when you do it for a certain amount of time. It's damaging. You need combos. Bigger, higher damage potential if you land this
What
move.
the hell are you talking about?
It was not easy to do. You had to practice it. You had to perfect it. And there's other moves in Street Fighter that are actually quite more challenging than that as well. But in Street Fighter 2, they took this move that for essentially 20 years had to be this complex button input of forward, down, down, forward. And they made it that instead of that, you could just take your thumb and mash down forward twice and press punch and it would come out. So a move that can change the entire direction of a competitive match. A move that up to that point needed direct, distinct, important timing.
Thanks for the money, stupid fuck.
You used effectively became
Gatekeeping fighting games like a major tart.
and it would come out. And there were people online who would literally just do that, mash like crazy, and get out of stuff, and it changed the face of Street Fighter forever. Essentially what happened with Street Fighter 4 was that the game was dumbed
you a
down
functional
to the
retard?
masses.
I have to ask.
The game did sell to the masses. It sold more than any Street Fighter ever before. But some of the competitive nature of the game was lost by making the game so easy to play. You didn't really need to have that a level of expertise or practice to execute high-level moves, combos, or anything like that anymore. It was basically like brain dead, a little bit of muscle memory, practice for a little bit, you could do everything in the game.
Thanks for the money, stupid fuck.
Hamburger.
To make matters even worse,
Hamburger.
Capcom followed along with this pattern in Street Fighter 5,
Hamburger.
making it even more dumbed down to the point where now that game is essentially pattern play. Meaning you don't even have to look at anyone and see what they're doing and react to it. You just have, I play with Guile, so I know if I do this one specific series of actions with Guile, the risk is low, the reward is great, just keep doing it, and I'll win. And that's most of the competitive play of Street Fighter V. The game's terrible because they made it so dumbed down for the masses. They took out any level of skill, any level of challenge, and in reality, it's hilarious because I see things online like, look, there's a good Guile player who on reaction, he saw someone doing something and immediately did a move to blow through it. Wow, what a great player. I'm like, you mean wow, like how every Street Fighter was before Street Fighter 4, and then you took that out of the game because you wanted it to be dumbed down for stupid people? Wow. Yeah, amazing that skill still exists in the competitive world. Rarely, but it does. Okay? So the reason I'm bringing all this up is because this is a direct comparison to Elden Ring. Elden Ring sold so widely that now From Software is under massive pressure to make the game accessible to the audience that bought it. If 12 million people bought Elden Ring, but only 1 million people actually complete the game, that's not going to make them look very good. It's going to tell, oh, look, your game was made too difficult, not accessible. How people who played the game can't enjoy it to the end is kind of ridiculous and not fair.
Like that at all.
And I guess what happened essentially was that with the Radahn boss fight, people had been playing this game at a slow pace for a couple of weeks. Like I said, people were celebrating, oh, I beat Godric. Post up your victory poses when you defeat Godric finally because it means that you got good and whatever. And no, Godric is an actually easy boss in the game. Compared to most of the game, he's a pushover boss. But people are going crazy and celebrating this. So can you imagine when those same people who are barely making by, scraping by, get to Caelid, and everything is one-shotting them, and eventually they get to this Radahn boss, and they're summoning 100 NPCs to fight with them, and he's one-shotting them, one-shotting them, one-shotting them, one-shotting, one-shotting, one-shotting. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I saw that reaction, actually, on social media, that people were like, I guess the game is over. I guess I finally reached my limits. There's no way I'm ever going to beat this guy. I tried for hours on end, and I just can't do it. And I guess we're done. You know, what a waste of $60 because I only got to see like half the game. And that was kind of the attitude I was seeing from a lot of mainstream players at the time. And I was like, well, that's unfortunate, but I mean, let's face it. From Software games always are giant difficulty skill checks. They are, and you always see stuff like this in From Soft game, and they're probably just not for everyone, you know? And so, how did FromSoft react? You know, 12 million tarnished. Thanks a lot for buying our game. Oops, we got 10 million people complaining they can't beat Radahn. So, this happens, you know, and yeah, I'm upset. Because here's the thing. I've always said this about competitive Street Fighter, and I'll make the point now about a nerf like what happened to Radahn this week, okay? There's nothing wrong with making a game accessible, especially if it's a game that's not competitive, all right? Even if a game is known as to be competitive, you could still have workarounds for people who want to play it, but definitely don't have the skill level to play it at a high level. So I'll give you an example. In Street Fighter, the shortcuts that they put into Street Fighter 4, all right, could have very well been put into the game without ruining the competitive nature of the game. What they could have done is said, you can have your input shortcuts, but they're optional. You can opt to turn them on or off, and if you turn them on, that's great. Play all the game modes you want, but it's not allowed in competitive tournament play. To actually compete in a tournament, you have to turn off your input shortcuts and instead play for real and learn the game. Okay? That's called choice. You know, freedom to decide for yourself whether or not you want something to be completely dumbed down or not. It's kind of like a no-brainer that you should give the gamer buying the game choice rather than forcing a potentially game design change down their throat that would ruin said experience for them. And that's why, for me, I really haven't been into competitive Street Fighter in a while. These games have become so piss easy that anyone could just ad nauseum practice a pattern or practice a certain mashing technique, and they get out of stupid shit. It's just like, this is not competitive or fun anymore. For someone who's around back when Street Fighter actually was a high level of skill required to do execution, I don't like how easy the game is now. It actually is not fun for me to play in a game where at any moment someone could go, "Damn, mash, mash," and blow through everything that I'm attempting to do. All right? The same thing with Radahn. All right? Radahn absolutely should not have been patched in this manner. All right? If he was going to be nerfed, make it an option to have him be nerfed. Leave the original fight in, but maybe have a scenario where you can activate something that makes him weaker. Like, for example, they've actually done this in previous FromSoft games where, and I think they even did it, didn't they even do this with Murgit, where you can find an item, an optional item, that will distract the boss or dramatically lower the attack capabilities of the boss if you complete a side quest line or a certain prerequisite steps. I remember in Bloodborne, there's the music box. You get the music box, you play it, and now Father Gascoigne, I don't know how to pronounce his name, he's the werewolf guy, gets distracted, and you can get a few cheap hits in on the boss, making it dramatically easier if you use the music box to distract him. Why didn't they employ something like that? Like, okay, there's a nerf, a holy arrow that you can hit him with, and now his damage output is dramatically reduced for 2 minutes. So if you can get in there and beat the shit out of him for 2 minutes, great, but you don't have to use it. You can go in and fight the original Radahn if you want and see the real challenge, or you can use the nerf arrow. It's up to you. This would then let the game be more accessible to those who don't have the skill to beat the original build, but at the same time retain the challenge of the original boss fight. Instead, FromSoft said, what's the easiest thing to do? Just nerf the stats. Here we go. Boop, done. That's horrible. You know? Now, the thing is, you and I, who've been around the block and played FromSoft games for a long time, probably like the change and think that it's a good one. Excuse me. Dislike the change and think it's a bad one. But probably 11 million people are really happy right now. Because to them, it's by any means necessary. I just want to see the end of the game that I paid $60 for. I want to enjoy the game and see all the content. I don't want to be playing against Radahn for 5 hours. So they made him so easy. Now we can get right by him and continue on with the rest of the game. In fact, it was so funny. I saw some people posting up on social media about a week ago before they nerfed Radahn. And they're like, did you know there's a super secret dungeon hidden behind Radahn's boss field? And I never would have expected it because I fought Radahn for so long. I was punch drunk. And I wasn't really thinking that anything was back there. And I was just riding around looking for random stuff. And I found it. And I was like, yeah, the whole game's like that. You know what I mean? But these people were so, like, beaten up by Radahn that if they just happened to squeak out a win, now it's like they forgot everything about the game. You know? It was that big of a deal for them. So, there's a lot of questions being opened up about this situation right now. Is every game meant to be for everyone? If you buy a game,
do you want to play
does that actually entitle you to actually complete it and see the end? How far is too far for accessibility, or is there just no too far for accessibility? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of issues now coming out as a result of this patch this week. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen moving forward. Because this same 11 million people who've never played the game before are now moving forward in the game because Radahn was nerfed. Now, oh, I couldn't beat him for a week. I could beat him now. Cool, let me go on to the next parts of the game. And so they do that, and the question is, will this sadly continuously happen in the game? What's the next skill check? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the next point in Elden Ring that these people run into the next Radahn that they just cannot beat, and now they're begging for a way around it again? And does that mean that for those of us who are playing the game at a reasonable pace, 60 hours in 3 weeks and haven't beaten it yet, are going to keep running into these issues where the game's changed and nerfed constantly to appease the 11 million casuals who bought the game and don't know how to play it at a high level? You know what I'm saying? I'm curious. And the thing is, now people literally in my stream chat are saying there's another boss coming up that they think might get nerfed too. You know, that's going to piss me off. I want the real experience. I would have liked to fight Radahn. I'm not exaggerating here. I would have liked to at least fought Radahn for like an hour if he was that tough. I mean, there is a feeling of overcoming a challenge and a feeling of accomplishment and a feeling of a rewarding relief when you beat a really difficult boss in a From Software game. I'm not saying that I want something that's insanely unfair to the point where, like, you have to get lucky to win. I'm saying, in general, if there's a boss, I don't like steamrolling them. This is the third major story boss in the game. How did I one-shot the boss when the optional bosses meant to just be side content and completely superfluous to the game are about 27 times more difficult than this boss? How is this one of the 3 easiest bosses in the game I fought so far? That it's like you went from extreme to extreme. That's crazy, man. How do you not understand moderation? You know? I don't get it. So, listen. Number one, I can understand both sides of the argument. And I can understand that there's a lot of people who bought the game, didn't know what they were getting into, and they feel upset. This is the second time this has happened. A lot of people bought Sekiro, couldn't learn the parry system because it was very challenging to learn, and quit the game within a few hours and said, wow, I wasted my money. Here we are again with Elden Ring, and it seems like From Software is actually taking a completely different approach, despite the fact that the head developer, what's his name? Is it Miyazaki? I always forget his name. He said that, no, this game is difficult and we're not, you know, that's intentional. But then he went ahead and patched the game and made it easier. So it's like he said all this stuff, but so many people bitched that he decided to go back on his word. And that's kind of disappointing. You know, here I am in 2022 complaining that I want a game to be harder. Like I don't know how we got here, but we definitely got here. It's pretty crazy. Maybe it's because I know that a tougher boss fight would have been more entertaining for my audience. Certainly, I will tell you, I got zero pleasure out of that fight yesterday. And after all the build-up, all right, that you guys gave me over the weeks, saying that this would be one of the best fights in the game, but one of the toughest, and then I see, oh, it's unique, it's interesting, it's the Festival of Radahn, I like the idea, and then it's like, zoop, he's done. Wow. I feel cheated. I feel empty. I feel cheated. I feel like this was something that now I don't get to experience properly because a bunch of other people complained, and that actually pisses me off. You know, I don't know. But anyway, that's the situation with Radahn. I beat him. And now today we're moving on and we're doing the rest of Caelid, which is going to kind of feel like underwhelming because the major boss is dead and he was a wimp, you know? What a shitty end to this area. Now there's a lot more to do, so I'm going to keep exploring. How much you want to bet that every boss I run across will be tougher than Radahn? Seriously, I just... Anyway, I got it off my chest. I talked about it. I hope now you understand. That's the end of that. No more spoilers for Elden Ring for me for now. I hope we don't have another situation later in the game where this happens again.
Fun.
Okay. All right, guys. Shoutouts time. We've got Guitar Player 1939 who re-upped his membership for 10 months. Thank you very much, Guitar Player. Lord Shio Garoth did a super chat earlier. Said, don't forget about the optional dragon fight in Caelid. See, you've been telling me there's an optional dragon fight in Caelid, and I don't know what you're talking about. You mean the giant dragon that we saw that looked sickly and was surrounded by a bunch of little minion dragons that really aren't little, they're just weaker? I don't know necessarily if I want to mess with that at this point. I don't know if you're supposed to actually fight it or not. I didn't aggro it purposely, but I don't know if that's what you're talking about or not. And then Zoya did a super chat and said, agree, accessible is code for easy and casual. No, it's not. Accessibility means two different things, by the way. I think people are actually confusing the two. Difficulty and accessibility are two different terms entirely. A lot of people don't realize that. Difficulty means the level of challenge to play through
I need that money. I really do.
While
I need that
accessibility
money.
means the ability to just play the base game for various reasons. For example, if someone has
I want to watch some faggot
like they're blind or they're hard of hearing or their hands don't work well or they're missing digits.
I don't have money to do it. I don't have money
you
to do it.
You need to have a way to make it do it.
I don't have money to do it. I don't have money to do it. I don't have money to do it. I don't have money to do it.
Difficulty is completely different. Why people are confusing the two words, I have no idea. Doesn't make any sense, okay? The issue here was not accessibility, it's difficulty. And, you know, if this game was supposed to have an established level of difficulty, it's up to From Software if they want to put in an easy mode
you know,
or
we
nerf
contribute
mode.
to you.
They shouldn't nerf
it always
the whole
seems
game
like it's a
they
black
just did with
hole.
Radahn.
Because it always seems like no matter how much we contribute,
want that
you're always still having problems. You're always still in debt and nothing's getting better.
I agree with you. Okay. Anso Kamaru took me $1.50. He says, I know you won't play Strangers of Paradise. I want to let you know it isn't as dull or boring as you think it is. I say this is a massive fan of FromSoft. Strangers of Paradise is fantastic and finding it hard to go back to Elden Ring. Thank you for sharing. I'm actually hearing some good things about Strangers of Paradise. It's actually positive. The game didn't look very good. And if people are actually telling me now that there is a ray of hope and it actually could be quite good, that's good. What I would say is I will consider playing it at a future date. There's no way I'm playing it right now. Definitely, I'm more interested in Ghostwire Tokyo than I am in Strangers of Paradise. Maybe this could be a playthrough for, like, later in April or something like that. Okay? We'll see. Nico has tipped me $1.50. He says, Persona 4 Arena did what you say Street Fighter 4 should have done. Basically, if you hold square for a few seconds, you can do a special move in arcade mode, but the feature's disabled in ranked play, and you're required to do the actual input. There you go. An optional choice to make the game easier to play. Not necessarily required, and not everyone has to deal with it, and not, you know, not acceptable in competitive play. I'm the Scat Man took me $1.50 and says, Phil, have a good stream. I love you. Do YouTube shorts, 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 do YouTube shorts. You know, I've been hearing a lot about these YouTube shorts. I wonder how well they fit and how expensive they are. Maybe I should try them out. I'm looking for a new pair of shorts for when it gets a little warmer. I don't wear the PJ pants that I'm wearing right now. I don't wear those all year long. In fact, I swap them off with shorts. Probably within another month, I'll be swapping off with my shorts. Maybe I should buy a pair of these YouTube shorts. See how they fit. An anonymous tipper tipped me $1.50. Says, I think it's also worth considering all the different builds and how that can affect the game. I did a mage build and I beat pre-nerf Radahn in only 5 tries, but Margit actually took me 8 hours. Margit was way better at closing the distance. There you go. And I think you're right in that respect as well, that dependent on how you play this game, or any FromSoft game for that matter, because there's many different ways to tackle these games. So many different builds and things. And by the way, I should say, that's why Dark Souls, Elden Ring, this is why they're all better than Sekiro. Sekiro, you are the same guy no matter what, using the same sword, the same shit. Yes, the trick weapons or whatever they're called can be used differently, but for the most part, Sekiro doesn't have that versatility and flexibility like, say, Elden Ring does, where I'm a magician. Oh, well, I'm a paladin. Well, I'm a straight-up knight. Well, I'm a more dexterous person using archery and bleed. Oh, well, I'm using, everyone's different and played the game a different way, and it could make one boss piss easy while another one is a pain in the ass, right? So that's interesting. Oh, really? Darziak says, Strangers of Paradise has pulled an Atlas. People are now being told publicly, do not stream the end of the game, or else you're going to get, like, copyright strikes. Wow. Well, I'm not going to play it now anyway, like I said. Perhaps if and when I get around to playing it, if I do, maybe that restriction will be lifted. But if that is the case, then I'm actually happy that I'm not playing it, because I cannot risk having this channel have issues like that, That's really stupid. Mr. Poopy Butthole tipped me $2 and technically is the biggest tipper of the day, although I really am apprehensive about putting the name Mr. Poopy Butthole on my stream leaderboard. He says, dirty casuals having bosses nerfed reminds me of Tekken 7, having the option to have a character do certain moves tapping just one button. Well, no, I can't do it. Sorry, Mr. Poopy Butthole. You are MPB, and you need to change your name if you want me to actually put your name on the leaderboard. Mr. Poopy Butthole. Oh! Oh! Kira says I don't respond to him.
All right, let's bring that beat back.
From a newcomer's perspective anymore, I actually have heard that sorcery can be really, really good. So that would be high intelligence, high sorcery. Is it arcane too? Or is arcane separate? I'm having a brain fart. But, yeah, I've heard that it's a sorcery build. A lot of people are like, oh, sorcery. So here's Elden Ring for everyone else. Gotta dodge out of this crazy attack. Holy shit, look for my opening. Finally, stab. Right in his heart. Oh, and I gotta do that 17, 18 more times to even get like a tenth of his health bar down. Oh my god, what a challenging game. And then there's sorcery builds. Magic, 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 magic. Oh, I ran out of FP. Oh, 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 oh. Magic, 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 magic. You win! So, maybe you want to do a sorcery build if you want to kind of do it easy and then maybe go back and challenge yourself later. I guess we'll have to see. Okay. Let's see here. Zoya did another super chat saying, are you worried about support on the night streams? No. Gaspavelli has re-upped his membership for 9 months as Kirby hype. Yeah, actually, I am pretty hyped for Kirby because I feel like we haven't had a good new chill game in a while. And Kirby is a pretty chill
money. I really do. I need that money.
Very cute,
my bills.
very relaxing. Sometimes has some pretty unique, interesting mechanics in boss fights. But in general, I feel like the new Kirby game will just be an opportunity for us to kind of relax and have good interaction and enjoy an interesting but not necessarily challenging game. And I'm okay with that. After playing Elden Ring for a fucking month, I'm okay with playing a game that has no challenge. Okay? Just a relaxing situation. Plus, we'll be playing Ghostwire Tokyo 2, which, from all intents and purposes, looks like a really original, interesting game. So. Swaggin says, I think my issue how do you make Elden Ring accessible for people who maybe have a disability without taking away from the difficulty? Make it optional. It's that simple. The game is a base level this, and then if you want to enable these accessibility options, you turn them on. For example, not everyone who played The Last of Us 2 wanted to have sonar enabled. You know? But for people who are blind, the sonar makes the game playable. Turn it on, turn it off. It's simple. It's not a competitive game. It's not like Street Fighter where everyone has to have those input shortcuts or no one has the input shortcuts in a competitive match. You see what I'm saying? Jack Fraxer is here to the $1.50. He says, Phil, I watched your Friday Elden Ring stream earlier today, and I can understand your frustration with having a nerfed boss. My favorite boss fight is when you tackled the first major dragon on the horseback, and I hope the rest of the boss fights go better. Yeah, and you know, admittedly, I was very stubborn about some of the early game stuff, like the Crucible Knight. But at the same time, I am enjoying taking on the bosses without using the Ash summons, trying to figure out their boss patterns, and essentially tackling them like previous Soulsborne games. I definitely could do it differently. Every boss I could be, first thing I do, Ash summon, jump in there, have them distract, wail on them. You know what I mean? But I'm having a fun time doing it the straight up method. And whether that means that I die a million times because I'm doing it the straight up method or not, I'm still having a good time with it up to this point. So, okay. Lord Shielgaroth says, you never responded to my mod application. I never got a mod application from you. I'm not saying you didn't send it, but maybe it hit my spam because I did not see a mod application from you. Fair enough. I beat the Crucible Knight. Yes, I did. I went back after being defeated. I'm not kidding, for about 2 hours. I said, the problem here is not that I don't know when to hit him or how to hit him. The problem is my damage output is way too low and my health is way too low. If I'm going to die after 2 hits, I just can't beat this guy. So I went back when I had higher health and way more damage output, and I beat him on the first try. There you go. Alice Telemon just hit me $1.50 and says, full beard for the win. Full beard. I'm not grow. Alice really wants to see me grow out a full beard. Despite the fact that I definitely don't want to do it, and neither does my wife want to see it. He really wants me to get a full beard. He's totally into it. Thank you for the tip. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's end the pre-stream. All right? And then we're going to, like I said, today's goal is to try to get as much done in Caelid as possible. I know at least 2 optional dungeons, and then there's more to the west that I hadn't done, including a resource cave we can maybe go to. Apparently there's an optional dragon that I haven't found yet somewhere here that people keep mentioning. And we'll see. We'll see today as we play what we encounter in Caelid. Now that Radahn is done, who was supposed to be the big build-up, I guess we can kind of be left to focus on everything else going on in Caelid and enjoy it and then go from there. Heisenberger just tipped me $10, which is the biggest tip of the day. Let's get Heisenberger up on the leaderboard. Heisenberger. What a name. What kind of meat? Is it Angus meat in the Heisenberger? It sounds delicious. And an anonymous tipper tipped me $1.50. Says sorcery builds aren't as easy as people make them out to be. You have to sacrifice a lot of important stats to make a really good build. I think it'd be cool for you to try one on your second run. Intelligence builds get a lot of cool stuff. I will absolutely tell you guys this. If you guys want to see a second run of Elden Ring, which I don't know if you will. This game is so long, it's already going to take me like a month and a half to beat. If you guys want to see me do a second run of Elden Ring, I will do a magic build. I want to. Like, I want to do a heavy... I don't think I've really done a heavy sorcery build. Or did I once? I think I did do it once in Dark Souls 1. One of my runs of Dark Souls 1 I did it, right? But this game has so much fucking magic. I'm finding spell after spell, staff after staff, and I'm like, can't use it, can't use it, can't use it, can't use it. Fucking shit. Right? So, I will do a magic run. Absolutely. That's actually what I want to do. I want to be using all this crazy magic and shit. Okay? All right. Thank you for a great pre-stream podcast. Once again, guys, this was a different kind of podcast than the days when I'm just kind of talking with you. If you liked the podcast, please give it a like. Please leave a comment on it. Spread the word that Phil does some different stuff on his podcast. It's not just him talking shit and fucking being an idiot playing games. He actually has this podcast with interesting topics, and today I tackled an interesting one yesterday. Let everyone know. This is part of my diversification efforts. All right? Thank you guys so very much for watching the pre-stream podcast. Bye-bye. Okay. We're going to swap over, guys, but I have to use the restroom. Excuse me. What happened there? I have to use the restroom before we begin. So I'm going to run into the bathroom and spend a... Special delivery! Special delivery! I am Cat and I liking my balls. It says that. I am Cat and I liking my balls.
$16.51 from PayPal. $110.09 from PayPal.
Look, you and me on the Charles River. I could die right now, Glenn. I'm just happy. I've never felt that before.
The Ziggy Piggy is here. It's been pretty slow. Try it, not gonna lie. Want me to jump right into the game? It's your call. What's up, Guts? Good to see ya. Let's see it. Show us. All right, I'll give it a shot. Please bear with me. I know you had to wait for the break, and I'm like, now you got to wait a little longer. I'm going to try it and see how it looks. Let's see here. So. So what if I did? God damn it. Fun. Do you want to play the fucking game? Dead air. Cool. That's pretty cool. My laugh sounds like ack, ack, ack. So when I laugh and I go, what do you think of that? Little animated border. Like, ack, 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 ack. Elden Ring. No, it sounds nothing like I could also use this for other fantasy games in the future. But Elden Ring is pretty nice, huh? It's less intrusive than the other border. It doesn't, like, jut out from the sides too much. You like it? Hopefully it doesn't crash the stream, though. Whenever I do something new, you never know what's going to happen. I'm surprised it worked that easily. You guys like it? If you like it, cool. It is animated. Take a closer look. Take a closer look at the border and you'll see that it's moving. Oh, my controller's on the floor. Oops. Oops. All right. Lord Shale Garoth, thank you. You can stop spamming. I see this now. All right. I will look at that later. The border is graceful looking. Yeah, all you got to do, you got to look closely and you'll see that it's an animated border. But the thing is, it's not an intrusive animated border. It's moving a little bit, which is nice. It looks like it's kind of pulsating a little bit, right? It actually matches the ring. Look at the... It does. It matches the ring right there. That's kind of neat. Very nice. Jack G, thank you for the super chat. He says, remember the star fell, something will have changed in southern Misty Forest? Yes, okay. I don't know if you guys want me to do that right away, or could I continue to explore Caelid? I mean, I could check it out later. It's not a big deal that I have to rush there, right? YouTube mode on. Okay. I gotta upgrade my weapon, too. Remember, I found the smoldering shard to upgrade this weapon another level. So I need to do that. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Elden Ring. Brand new session today. And after having defeated Radahn yesterday, in a very anticlimactic battle, I actually did an entire podcast dedicated to how disappointing that was, and that FromSoft should not have patched that the way that they did. We have a new border today for the webcam. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. It's an animated border, although you might not be able to notice the pretty nice for this playthrough, Elden Ring border, because the game's going to be so damn long. You say, oh, 60 hours in, you're just adding a new border. Dude, this border is going to get like another 40 to 60 hours of use. It really is. So anyway, welcome back to Elden Ring, everyone. We are in